I'm so happy that Jamestown has virtual tours that can hold me over. Please join me in welcoming our next guest, Mark Summers, the Director of Public and Youth Programs at Jamestown.
Oh, hello. Good to see everybody. Yay.
Hi, Mark.
You caught me on a week I'm not as busy with school groups, so that's good. That's good. Yeah, they're doing testing lately, so I'll be
Perfect. We love it. So, first of all, can you tell me, how did the virtual tours of Jamestown start?
Really, it's kind of one of those things where, like everything else in the pandemic, kind of out of desperation, what do? We stopped doing our last official field trip when we shut down for the pandemic, I think March 8th, 2020. And we were home for a few months, and I had a few schools that approached me, can you do something virtual? So we tried it out a little bit, unofficially, and then we launched the program in September, not knowing how good it would be. I didn't even know how to use Zoom very well, or how to carry a camera properly when we first started.
Well, yes. I think most of us didn't know how to use Zoom quite as well as we do now when it started. So you're not alone.
That's right. And talking about virtual, now that everything is virtual, how important is to have high-speed internet access?
Well, it was very fortunate that we had a partnership with Cox to actually get high-speed internet, and they completed it just a few months before the pandemic. So had that not happened, we would actually be left with really no school program at all. So we were able to actually get our high-speed internet, because before we tried to do virtual programs years ago for a school that was, say, far away or another part of the country, I'd be on my smartphone, and I'd drop the call after a few minutes. It just made it untenable. So now, having the ability to actually to broadcast live from Jamestown, and then I can be on my phone with a selfie stick and show people archaeological sites, walk up to the James River. I would never take a live field trip, 2 feet away from the James River. And I'm actually able to get closer. I could climb places, go close to places on camera that we couldn't normally do. And in many cases, interview character actors. The gentleman you just showed on screen, I actually, he speaks like it's 1609. I interview him, and kids can watch that live. Or I could show folks the river. I could show folks, a current dig site, the swamp, things they're reading about in class. And I can get very, very close, a lot closer than I could if 30, 40 kids are behind me. So it actually makes it easier to teach.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Now, Mark, I know virtual education was a challenging time during the pandemic. So I got a 3-part question. So how successful were the programs? How many schools and states did you reach? And what kind of programs do you offer?
So I'll answer the last one first. So I do 2 types of programs. I can do like a PowerPoint lesson. Some schools prefer that. I'd say 9% of the schools book what's called a virtual tour, where I just get on my smartphone and I take people around Jamestown. I have different themes: the first Africans, the Powhatan, and the English, archaeology, STEM-based history learning. But the other thing I think is, I didn't know how successful it'd be. We've reached about 200 schools in the last year in 27 different states. And I'd say 1/3 of our schools are from California alone. So in a given week, 1 week in January, I went from New York City to Chicago to Los Angeles in 1 week. Then I was in a small town in Pennsylvania that happened to be where my dad was born. It was just luck of the draw. Miami had children from 15 countries. We compared the Spanish Empire to the English Empire, small towns in Texas. Idaho has a town up there that has less people living in it than lived at Jamestown. So The cool thing is it equalizes the playing field. It's not just wealthy schools from other parts of this country that can fly here. We keep the costs low. We can beam live to the classroom, and we can reach a much diverse array of students than we normally ever could on field trips.
Nice.
So all of those little red dots on that map were places that you have done virtual tours for.
Yeah, I made that myself. It's not a professional map, but I actually made that for the board meeting to show that we've reached all these different states. I felt like I was winning some election or something, but I wanted to put a dot for every school, and I wanted to put every state colored in to show that it's not just East Coast children or Virginia children, but we are reaching the entire country. And I did one school last year in France. It was an American school in Paris. I had to get up really early for that one, but I got here at like 7:00. We did that. It was great. And it was interesting to see that in many ways, the French kids had the better questions than the Americans. But that's awesome. Okay. That's okay. It's good. I think it shows you that Jamestown is a global story, not just one for local kids.
For sure.
It is. It's great in history. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for this great information. And you guys are seeing the website right there. If you want more information about this interview, you can find more information also in our blog, Living 757. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.